today pretty much is going to be about these things that you can't light and use for a Shabbos or a Hanukkah candle. So the Gemara had said, we're going to start from the Tanya, 4 lines up. Tanya Reb Shimon Elazar Omer, Eimat Likim B'Tzari. So you're not allowed to use tsari. What do we say tsari is balsam. Now balsam b'dafka is the opposite of a number of these other types of oils that we spoke about that have a very bad smell, happens to have a very good smell. So where's my timer? So what's wrong with that? We learned this yesterday. We're going to go into it a little bit more deeply today because it has such a good, strong smell. So we're afraid that a person, today we would never do these things. We're not accustomed to it. But the oil that's burning the fire can also be used for a food. So we're afraid that somebody will be mistapik. Mistapik means you're going to take a spoon or even a straw and you're going to use some of it. So the Gemara says, so that was what Rabbi said. So Amar le Abaye, so Abaye said to Rabbi, so now we're going to go right to Daf Chavav. That's today's Daf. Le'ma mar mibnei shehu off. So he said, and this is like sort of one of the interesting connections to the matzav that we find ourselves in, is that the first thing should be safety. So he says it's not a safe oil because it flies up. Off means like an oif. It flies up, and it can cause chas v'shalom a fire. Now there's a very interesting machlokes rishonim over here. What does it mean? It can make a fire. So is it that we're answering it the whole week also, because after all, it's a flammable thing. It's just not normal. It's not safe. Or on Shabbos, we don't want to use it Friday night because you don't want to put yourself into a situation where you'll have to extinguish a flame. So first of all, there's a machlokes rishonim if this applies about this particular type of tsari, right? If it applies only during Shabbos, that would mean that we're worried that it's going to start a fire and we'll have to put it out. Well, no, it's even during the week because of safety. That's an interesting machlokes. So Gemara says that when Abaye asked him this, so the Gemara seemed to answer that Rabbi said this and something else. So like I said before, first of all, most important because of safety, and that means even it should even be usher Sunday through Friday. And second of all, because on Shabbos you might use it and take it to drink from. Now, the Gemara brings over here a very, very strange story. This may be the source of all mother-in-law jokes. I don't know. We have to figure out why the Gemara brings this. Hahu Chamasa, there was a certain mother-in-law. This is the ultimate mother-in-law from Gehenna, you know. Davisnia, this is like an exchange of the samach for a sin, that it means sinner, hatred. Davisnia lalakalasa, she hated her daughter-in-law. Armullah, so she once plotted to do something to her. She set her up. She said, "Zil is kashid b'mishcha da parsama." So it sounded like a very sweet thing to say. Here, go take some balsam oil, which we just learned that this tsari stuff is very flammable. The young girl didn't seem to know this. Or she was very, very innocent. She was very gullible, and she fell for it. Ozli kashit, so she put herself on some of this the perfume from Tsari, and she thought she smelled very, very nicely. Also, when she came back from doing that, Amrullah, so the mother-in-law told her, Zil isli shraga, so go light the candle. Nebuch ozla asli shraga. So she lit the candle. In pach ba nura v'achalta. So the fire jumped out at her because we said like it's off. Remember the top line? It's off. It starts a tremendous fire, and it burned her to death. So I'm afraid I won't come back to it. So I just wanted to share with you an amazing rishon. If you happen to have the Masifta, it's in the back of the Masifta, but it's a number of other svarim. It's Negei Halacha. And I'll tell you, it was Negei Halacha Lamaisa. Recently, somebody asked me this shaila. But listen to this unbelievable rishon. So there's a Sfardi, Rabbeinu Avraham Sabah. And that's why I heard that how they pronounce him. He wrote a Pirish to Rus. Rus and Naomi, mother-in-law and daughter-in-law, had a great relationship, right? So it says over there, Batosha of Naomi v'Rus Amoyavia. So the pasuk tells us what a tzadekis Naomi was. So he writes now like this. Listen to this unbelievable thing. Sheyaduhu b'teva hanoshim hachamois soinas lekalois v'akalos lechamoisam. Says that there's a natural hatred and enmity between mother-in-law and daughter-in-law, daughter-in-law and mother-in-law. And he goes through a whole explanation. It's very interesting to see. If you want, if the Yom Tov, when we get back together again, Be'ezer, Hashem Yisbarach, I'll even make copies for everybody for this. Not that I'm choshed anybody's mother-in-law or mother, for that matter, but he says over here that the process of raising a boy brings the boy very close to his mother. And then when the daughter-in-law sort of takes him away, I mean, it's not like some, some pseudo-psychologist, some what do they call it, a junk psychologist saying this. He brings this as a rishon. So he says anyway that the main thing, the main problem is he brings is kishiyodu ze'evim keves todu kalim chamaisa. Kishiyavu mishichenu b'meira b'yameinu v'yiskayim v'gar zevim keves yiskayim v'soro kinas Ephraim v'kinas kalim chamaisa. Says until Mashiach comes, this relationship is not going to work, and therefore a kala and her mother-in-law should not live together. So I was just looking. Rav Shlomo Zalman Auerbach Zecher Tzadik Livracha. So when his mother-in-law became an almana, his father-in-law was nifter, so he took her in the house, and she lived with them, and he was very kind to her. So maybe that's not this situation though. This is the man's mother, which is a problem to the kala. So they bring over the Shilas Yaivitz that Rabbi Yaakov Emden writes that this thing that over here the mother-in-law tried to kill the daughter-in-law, that's a little bit extreme. But if they live together, it's not so surprising. That's what he says. So he says, therefore, he says that a kala means a daughter-in-law, not means a kala, but a kala is double. When they get married, and if the young man wants his mother to live with them, the daughter-in-law, the young daughter-in-law, the kala, has every right to say, no, I don't want. So let's go Rav Shlomo Zalman. So Rav Shlomo Zalman had a very interesting ma'aseh. There was a young man that was a bach who was getting married. He was going out, and he had an old sick mother. And he asked Rav Shlomo Zalman if he can make a t'nai with the kala, daughter-in-law / kala bride, that she has to allow the mother-in-law to live with them. Rav Shlomo Zalman said yes, absolutely. And the boy went out, and then he found a very wonderful girl who said yes. And then Rav Shlomo Zalman said, okay, now find a nursing home for your mother. So he said, Rebbe, but you told me it's mutter. So I told you it's mutter because I wanted you to find a balas midas and a balas chesed. But now that you have one, I don't know if he quoted this Gemara or not, but he said it's not a good idea. And Hitaka helped him to find a assisted living type of thing for the mother. So anyway, so you see from this the reason that the Gemara brought this in is not stam like a mother-in-law joke. Chas v'shalom, we don't do that. But on the other hand, it's halacha l'maisa that a mother-in-law and a daughter-in-law lechatchila should not live together. Okay, let's go on. Very, very unbelievable Gemara.
Well,
okay,
from
now
both sides, or this is just showing on the on the cousins.
It seems like it's only one-sided. Yeah, that's what it seems to me. Now let's go weiter.
Two-sided in real life, though.
What?
I feel like it's two-sided though in real life. Like people dislike their mother-in-law on both sides.
It could be both ways, but the Gemara only brings it over here. In halacha, I didn't see it go the other way. Okay, good point. Now the Gemara brings a pasuk. There's a pasuk in Yecheskel. So it says like this: "Umidaloi sa'aretz hishenu v'zaradan." We're going to learn. This is a ma'aseh, but from this ma'aseh we learn out a very interesting halacha today about Kehillas. So the pasuk says like this: Hishin nevuzaradon Rav Tabachim la karmim uliyoikfim. Now we don't really know what this means yet. We'll find out in the Gemara. But Nebuchadnezzar, who was Nebuchadnezzar's executioner, he was like a bad guy, to say the least. So he left the poorest of the people in Eretz Yisrael to be Karmim and Yoikvim. So what are Karmim and Yoikvim? So Gemara says, Karmim, Tanu Rav Yosef, what does this mean? He says, Elu malakte aparsamain me'en gedi v'adramasa. So these used to be experts on collecting this perfume that we spoke about, that you shouldn't use as an oil, but as an oil and light, but you can use it as a perfume. What are yoikvim? She said, "Elu tzayodei chalazin misulamesh lotzur vad chayfa." So these are the people who used to catch the chalazin amphibian that from which we make the Kehillas. I'm just looking where it says over here. So Rashi over here says the Mepharshim say that it means Kehillas. So what do? So Rashi says that they take out the blood. So this is a very interesting Rashi. Rashi says that Vuzaradan, why would Vuzaradan care that we should have Kehillas? It's ridiculous, right? Vuzaradan hated us. He was one of the worst anti-Semites and butchers, literally butcher. It's called a Rav Tabachim, a butcher of people. So, but Teretz says he only cared about himself. He didn't know how to capture the chalazim, and he didn't know what to do with it to make Kehillas. But Kehillas is a beged melachim. That's one of the reasons that we wear it. So it's very interesting. What comes out of here is a shaila, if we still know how to make Kehillas. So, I mean, l'mashal, I don't wear Kehillas. Why don't I wear Kehillas? I'm a very smart guy. I took a look at Rebbe Yashiv, he doesn't wear Kehillas. I took a look at Rebbe Moshe Feinstein, he doesn't wear Kehillas. I took a look at my Rebbe, Rav Hutner Zatzal, so my Rebbe, none of them wear Kehillas. But the Radzina Hasidim wear Kehillas. So it can't be bad, right? A lot of big Gedolim wear Kehillas, a lot of big Gedolim don't wear Kehillas. But from this Gemara is something very interesting, because the Lashon that I found over here, which you won't find every place, is that the chalazim and the Kehillas were lost from the time of the Gemara. It brings over here the Lashon. Just 1 second. I just wanted you to hear this. I'm not sure if I marked it off in the right place or not. But they say that from the time of the Gemara, there was no Kehillas. So, 1 second, we'll just go drop into it. So, he says, Kfar bimei ha'mayroyim nignas at Kehillas. So the Kisvi Arizal, so you would think the Chassidim would try to put on Kehillas, because the first person that claimed to have discovered Kehillas was the Radzina Rebbe. He was a Rebbe, Chassidish Rebbe. From the Arizal, it seems not like that. He says like this, so the Arizal seem to be against it. But the Heilige Radzina Rebbe, who was a very, very big Talmid Chacham, and also he taught himself marine biology, as did another big Rav. His name was Rav Herzog. He was the first real chief rabbi of the state of Israel. The first chief rabbi of the modern state was Rav Kook, but he was nifted 35 before 48. 48 was the beginning of the state. And Rav Herzog found a different amphibian that he claimed was Kehillas. And ever since then, there's 2 different Kehillas. So could be that corroborates the Arizal, that the Arizal said that nobody really knows. So, but a lot of very chashuv gedolim will say it can't hurt. In other words, you just put on the Kehillas and you still have the white, and what's worse comes to worse, it's the wrong color. So what could be bad? But it seems from the Arizal al pi Kabbalah that he held that it was the wrong thing to do. For what it's worth, that's why I don't wear Kehillas. Okay.
So one of the 2 Kehillas is wrong, though. I mean, they can't.
One of them is wrong. Yeah. One of them must be wrong. It's a different creature, right? So but able just to explain this. I know if you listen to Rav Shechter, I asked Rav Shechter once because he wears tchelas. So he said, I said, your Rebbe didn't wear tchelas. So I think he told me his Rebbe, Rav Soloveitchik, was a brisker. And his grandfather, who knew the Radzina Rebbe, didn't hold of it. He disagreed. But none of them wear Radzina tchelas. Most of them wear Rav Herzog's tchelas. So anyway, so Rav Shechter told me that he holds it can't hurt. But it seems like from this line in the Arizal that it can hurt. So you're right. One of them is wrong. One of the tchelas is obviously wrong. Unless you'll be a meshuggan, you'll wear two types of tchelas. But that probably knocks each other off. That would seem to me. Okay, let's go back to the Gemara Tana Rabbanan. We learned in the Bais, ein madlikin b'tevel tamei b'chol. Even during the week, you're not allowed to light a candle with tevel. Now, what's tevel? Tevel is produce, mostly grains, from which no trumas and maestros were taken off. So even a kohen can't benefit from it. So he said, in the Brisa, the Tana said that you can't be madlik with it. Shabbos, and for sure not on Shabbos. So the Gemara says, the Brisa goes on, you can't use white nafe. We'll soon see why. And of course on Shabbos. So now the Gemara analyzes the Bais like this: Bishlam and nafe lava. Why can't you use nafe lava? So naphtha is also very, very flammable. I don't do these things, but I have a friend that experiments with everything in the Gemara that can be experimented with. Sometimes it's not the right thing to do. But anyway, he almost like made a bomb. One day he used naphtha, and he lit it. And it mamish caused a tremendous fight. He said, "Oh, okay, the Gemara is right. Thank you very much." Okay.
Did you try to kill someone and bring him back to life, like when they got drunk?
It's a good question. I never asked him that one. I'm afraid to ask him. He's all right, a wonderful guy, but Bislam Meshugin. So Bishlam and Naft Lava Mishleishu off. So we understand why you're not to use the white naft, because it's going to make an explosion, right? Avol Tevel Tame, my time. Why can't you use Tevel Tame? It shouldn't be a problem. So my answer on my crook, because the pasuk says like this: that when a kohen gets truma, so the pasuk says "Vani ne'nasati luchas mishmeres trumaisai." So trumaisai is plural. When we had this earlier in the previous Gemara, v'straight trumas akosum medaber. The pasuk is talking about two types of truma: achas truma tahira, achas truma tameya. So in other words, the emphasis is that a kohen is allowed to benefit from truma tameya. In other words, what's he allowed to do if it's already in a state of truma? So he's allowed to use. Remember, we had the Gemara said he can put it under his pot and he can use it for fuel, but not while it's tevel, right? But it says truma tahira just like truma that's tahira. So you're not allowed to eat it until you did truma. Harama means you took off the truma. That's the exact lashon of truma, means to pick it up. You pick it up and you designate it as truma. Af truma tameya, same way truma tameya. So while it's tevel, you're not allowed to benefit from it. So the Gemara answered its own question. So now the Gemara says we learned the Brisa. Gufa, let's analyze. Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar Aimer Madlikin B'Tzari. You're not allowed to use balsam. B'Chen Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar Aimer Tzari Ein El Sruf Me'atzei Haktaf. So now, what is this? What is this story? It's the sap of a balsam tree. Rabbi Shmuel says, he says, no, there's a rule that you're not allowed to light with any sap at all because it doesn't work well inside the wick. In other words, it won't be drawn up by the wick. He says, no, you can only kindle, you can only light a light with a madlik el b'yoytze min apri, only something that does come out. So it's exact opposite. The only thing they can use is Shem and Zayis olive oil. So now he wanted to make a very strong point. And he said like this. Amid Rechem ben Uriel Raglav v'Amar, Ma Yasu Anshe Bavel. Now we're going to have a whole bunch of places that they don't have some of the oils that we said you can use. So Mayasu Anshi Bavel Shalem El Shem and Shumshimin. They only have Shem and Shumshimin. Mayasu Anshi Modai. So in Modai they have Shalem El Shem and Agoizim. They only have nut oil. Umayas Anshi Alexandra Shalem El Shem and Snoinus. All they have is the oil that comes out of a radish. Umayas Anshi Kaputkia. What do they have? Shalem Lekach Lekach Elenef. They even have like the worst of stuff. It makes a fire and it smells terrible. Ela Ein Lechol Mashon Lechacham So therefore, Rabbi Yaakov ben Uri says that you don't have to add to what the original list is. So whatever they said is mutter, whatever they said is asur, but you don't add anything to it. Umadlikin, what can you be madlik with? Since they didn't have any of these things, what did they use? Shem and dogim, so they used the oil from a fish. Some say it's the fish's eyes, by the way. Over itron, and we said itron also. So even though itron, we said before, Rashi brings it, is a problem. So we said that it comes from something that is really asur, but he said that you can use it. Reb Shimon Shizuri, I think of Shema Pakuis with a knife. You can use this Shema Pakuis. I'm not sure exactly what that is, and you can use naphtha. He disagrees. He says you can't use anything that comes from an animal except for fish oil. Now, it's something that's alive, you can't use. Fish oil you can use. So Tanakama sounds like it's saying the same thing as the Tanakama. So he says the difference between them is what Rav Bruna Ba'amarav said, but we never found out which it is. So now the Gemara says that what is it? Tanya will learn the Raisa. So anything that comes from a plant, so it can't become something that's going to become tameh. So now we're getting into the sugi of tumah. So let's just give a quick introduction. When it says the words shalosh al shalosh, that means 3 finger. I'm holding up fingers, 3 finger widths. And when it says shloisha al shloisha, it means 3 tfachim. And each of these are used in a way like when it comes to tumah. So he said like this, that normally, even though a beged would not be considered like 3 fingers by 3 fingers, who's going to wear that? You could put it on a doll. But what is it? It can be used as a patch. It can be used to cover up a hole. And since it can fix a beged, so the Torah says it's aloch l'mashmi Sinai, apparently. We'll soon see if it is or not. But it seems to be aloch l'mashmi Sinai. So anything that comes out of a tree, so it doesn't have that halacha. And if it's 3 by 3, but nobody would wear it as a beged, it's not makabel tumah. Whereas anything else by 3 by 3 is makabel tumah. And you can cover a sukkah with it. In other words, you can use it because it grows. So you can use it as chach, except for flax. So Rabbi said, let's go now to the Chavav Amid Bais. To Amid Bais, Reb Shimon ben Elazar, Tana the Rabbi Shmuel. We have the same thing. They both seem to say the same thing, but we don't know what Reb Shimon ben Rabbi Shmuel said. So Reb Shimon ben Elazar Damar, and that's what we just said. What did Rabbi Shmuel say? Tana the Rabbi Shmuel Mayi, the Tana the Rabbi Shmuel. It says like this. Many places in the Torah it says the word beged. But there's one place where the Torah says semer pishtim. So let's look up the pasuk for a second. It says by tzoras, so it says that it's going to be if there's tzoras on a beged, and then it says beged. If the beged, it says semer pishtim. So what do we learn from there? Malal and semer pishtim, just like by tzoras, the Torah says semer pishtim is a beged. I've called semer pishtim. So always the word beged means semer pishtim, wool and linen. Okay, so now Rava, what does Rava hold? Rava Amar shloisha b'shar begadim ika b'nayim. What about other begadim? And you have a bigger piece, not 3 little fingers, by a square, but 3 tfachim by 3 tfachim. That already could be a beged. It could be a very short beged, but a beged. So he says, the Reb Shimon ben Elazar Islay, so he holds of Reb Shimon ben Elazar, the Tana ben Rabbi Shmuel Leslie, but Tana ben Rabbi Shmuel does not hold that you would make an exception for wool and for flax. Basically, it's semer pishtim. So now the Gemara wants to know, the kula almamias, everybody agrees that shalosh al shalosh mitzamer pishtim mitame ben negoyim, that if it's 3 by 3 fingers, that's mitame by a nega. Minolan, how do we know? Now let's just stop by this minolan. So I mentioned before that it's probably aloch l'mashmi Sinai, because when we don't know where something comes from, we say it's aloch l'mashmi Sinai. Mashal kazayis is aloch l'mashmi Sinai, and 13 or 12 is aloch l'mashmi Sinai. 13 by a boy, 12 by a girl. So a lot of Mefarshim, goes back to the Rishonim, are troubled over here. Why did the Gemara even ask Minola? So there's a number of answers over here. If we have just, we'll go through. I just want to point out the kasha. So anyway, the Gemara says, where is it from? It's not halacha mishmisina. It's a pasuk. So maybe that's what the Gemara is Manala, because the Gemara had heard that there's a brisa that says it's a brisa. It's not a halacha mishmisina. The Sani we learned the brisa beged. If the Torah had only told us beged by tzaras, so ain't little beged. So I would have thought that it's only a beged made out of wool and linen. Beged tzemer pishtim. Sholosh menayin. What about a little beged? If it's only 3 by 3, like fingers. So beged. So what did he learn from the vav and the hey? Now most of you learn that there's a double. Not a miyut over here, but there's a double hisafa. So what is it? It's vav hey. Could have just said beged. So what do we learn out from this? It's to tell us that even something that's smaller is also mekabel tomas tzoras. So where it says, how do you know it's 3 by 3 fingers? Maybe it's 3 by 3 tfachim, which is much bigger, and anything smaller is not considered to be a beged. So Morah makes a kavachayim. Lav kavachayim. Who isn't a kavachayim? Hashti shesi ve'erev mitam. So you have like this: when you're sewing or doing a riga or weaving. So there's two things: the shesi, that's like the long one that goes all the way through, a long weave, and then there's every once in a while you cut into it with an erev, shesi ve'erev. By the way, it's interesting that it makes a cross, and adayom hazeh in Lashon HaKodesh, a cross is called a shesi ve'erev. If you ever ask, anybody that grew up speaking Yiddish, shesi ve'erev. But it comes from the Hebrew, shesi ve'erev, which comes from a pasuk. So the Agma says, hashta shesi ve'erev mitame, shloisha al shloisha, mibaya. So if only a couple of thin little threads can be makabel tumah. So a tefach by a tefach, of course, the tefach by tefach is bigger. So Gemara asks, if that's the case, so if so, then even 2 fingers, right? We're talking about over here. The fingers by the finger breadth is also bigger than a finger is thicker b'chlal than a hair or than a thread. So how come we can't make a kavachaymer over there also? Gemara says no. So Gemara says you're right. So therefore, that we don't need a kavachaymer to go all the way up to a tefach. We can just leave it as a little thread. So Gemara says Ella. Therefore, shloisha. So it must be that it's 3 by 3 tefachim. The chazir bein hashiur bein laniyim, because even a rich man would be able to do something with 3 tefachim by 3 tefachim, but there's nothing he would possibly do with 3 finger breadths. Finger widths. So osi b'kavachaymer. So that's why we use the kavachaymer for shalosh, because for the 3 tefachim by 3 tefachim, you don't need a kavachaymer, because even an usher would be able to use it. So shalosh, so it's only the poor people that would use such a small thing. So you can't use it. You can't derive it from the kavachaymer. So therefore, the reason is like this: because the Tzvi Torah, because the Torah said that we learn it out from those 2 letters, right? Ve'habeged from the vav and the hey. Holy Tzvi Torah, legamrina b'kavachaymer. We wouldn't even they've used the kavachaymer. So I ask, maybe it's not about wool and linen. Maybe it's to tell you that 3 tefachim by 3 tefachim in other types of begadim, not wool and linen, is also makabel tumah. Tomar says, no, beged semer upishtim. Beged semer upishtim ain, beged midei. We're talking about only that's what's called a beged in the Torah. It says, so maybe what we're being memayet is 3 finger widths by 3 finger widths. Shloisha, but 3 by 3 tefachim is metameh. So Gemara says no. There's 2 miyutim. Beged semer or beged pishtim. So that's one. So now the Gemara changes its mind. The Gemara says we have 2 miyutim. One is for the fingers and one is for the tefach. Okay, fine. Gemara asked Rava, the Amar, according to Rava that said shloisha b'shar begadim yikaminayu, that the whole machlekes over here between Reb Shimon ben Elazar and Rabbi Shmuel is that in the case of Reb Shimon ben Elazar, we're going to probably just go a little bit into Amud Aleph. I think Nef Chav Zayin. I'm just taking a look. So where it says, so Reb Shimon Elazar Islay, Reb Shimon Elazar holds that it's Mekabel Tumah, and Latana Ben Rishma Leslie holds it's not Mekabel Tumah, but Shlosh Bishar Begadim. But what about not linen and flax, not linen and wool, rather linen and wool? Shlosh Bishar Begadim. So now we're going to go just Manole. We'll just go to the top of the Amid. Manole, how do they know? So Gemara is going to tell us tomorrow. So where we learn it, where we learn it out from. So since we finished the daf, and I do have a drop of time, so I just wanted to go over something over here. Remember we talked about in the beginning of the daf about nafta, naft. Naft, it's called in Yiddish, by the way. Adayom hazeh. So the shaila is, so can you use it during the week? Because during the week it'll cause a fire, but we don't have a problem of people using it, because during the week it doesn't matter if somebody diminishes the fire. So Rashi just said over here by off, shedid babakos labayis umadlik asabayis. So it seems from Rashi, the lashon Rashi is shesakana hi atzma hatam lesser. So those that are medayik in Rashi say that Rashi holds that it's a sakana. So this is just like I mentioned before, that we're only where would never make on why? Because it's a sakana. So a guy says, well, it's not going to be a sakana. We're going to stand 6 feet away, and we're going to, we're going to have only 10 people, and we're going to, we're going to do all the right things. But the next place might not hold like that. There's not just 1 minyan in town. There's 1,000 minyanim in town, and there's hundreds of thousands of minyanim in Klal Yisrael. So if even one of them will not be so careful, and they will chas v'shalom spread one coronavirus, which would kill somebody, so that's what Reb Chaim said, that would be a ritzeach, and that would be a roitiv. Why? Because we're so machmir on sakana. But now I'll show you the chiddush in this Gemara. That was Rashi. Then the Muki Yosef says, that many other Rishonim hold like that. But if you look down over here a little bit in some of the other shittas, so they seem to say that it's still only on Shabbos. And it seems like this Fasemes was more recently, it was a Ger Rebbe, that he also said, She'ein neser ela b'Shabbos, and he holds it's no raya from Rashi. So I'm not sure I understand this Fasemes so good, but it's a machlokes, the early Rishonim, what Rashi held, and it's a machlokes the Achronim, halacha l'maisa. So it's a little bit hard to understand, because from Rashi, again, the lashon is, Shesakona hi atzma hatam. Again, let's read the Rashi carefully. So those that hold that it's only a problem of a gzeira, they say, why are we worried it'll be madlik asabayis? You'll put it out, because you have to put it out on Shabbos, then it's going to cause chilul Shabbos. Once there's a fire, there's no chilul Shabbos. It's sakonas nefashos. But you're never allowed to put yourself into the situation, erev Shabbos, where you're going to be in a sakana on Shabbos. Right? That's an interesting halacha, which is negaya a lot of the shilas that are coming up these days. People that not just on Shabbos, they put themselves into a sakana. The whole thing. There's a letter going around. We're going to send it out in a little while. A lot of people got it already. Not to have guests on Shabbos. So some people are ending up like Nebuch, like just 2 people at a seder. It's like pretty, not exactly what a seder should be. But on the other hand, for older people to have their grandchildren there is a sakana on both sides. Sakana for the grandparents, and it's a sakana for the grandchildren. No. So next year you'll be able to ask Zaidi. Next year you'll be able to tell the child, steal my afikaim and I'll give you a prize. But this year it's a sakana. So even a chashash rachlik of a sakana we learned over here and we're applying it is a sakana. So I just want to tell you something interesting. Right before the shiur, so I was just on the phone with Arihan. He told me, maybe you heard this already, that a little bit over 7 years ago, during Hurricane Sandy, these were the dafim that we were learning, and we were learning these dafim, and they got us through Hurricane Sandy. And now the hope is that for whatever the Rebbeinu Shalom has his ways, the Rebbeinu Shalom wants us to learn these dafim during this difficult time, and this will Mitzvah Hashem hopefully bring us, geulas, just like we got out of Hurricane Sandy. The Eibush hopefully we should get out of this also. And then there was one other thing that I think I wanted to mention. By the way, tomorrow night, I'll just tell you, I mentioned this yesterday, didn't go out yet. I don't think it went out. That 7:30, we're going to learn Daf like usual. We'll cut a drop early like we are tonight. And 8:15, we'll have a virtual Zoom Shabbos Hagadol Drasha. Don't worry, not too much halacha. Mostly, I'm going to try to deal with a little bit of the hashkafa and the Musar and the Musar Haskell of coronavirus, of COVID-19. So it was one of the things I
We already
wanted to
got
mention.
I printed out 8 pages of halacha last week from the Rav.
Oh, yeah, I'm not finished. More coming tonight. I'm not sure it's coming tonight. I'm sending to Yossi. When Yossi sends it out, I never know. But it
No,
might
it
be
was a
tomorrow
lot of
morning.
stuff. It covered a lot of things. I'm sure
Yeah.
there's so much
There's a
more.
couple of things that I just didn't get into there. And second.
By the way, my wife is telling me that there's people going around now saying that I guess for money they'll toivel your stuff. Like what? I'm gonna go myself to the beach. Why would I give it to someone else?
Yeah, I mean, there's not. You should know it's not a problem this year. I was matter it also, but many poskim hold it lechatchila. If you look at the poskim, the person that owns it, that's going to use it, is supposed to toivel it. I'll tell you to what extent. If a yid goes to one of these stores, Sterling or whatever, and buys something, so it used to be the guy used to say, I'm not even talking about the guy. There used to be a guy there. Forget about it. He can't toivel it. But even the yid, he said, I'll toivel it for you. So a lot of people got wise to this, and they said, no, I have to toivel it myself. Maybe I'll go to the back. I'll toivel, because they didn't want the people to go to the back. But the emphasis that l'chatchil, it's supposed to be the person himself or herself. So the reason that a lot of Rabbanim were discouraging the beach and all that is simply that it might be dangerous. Somebody claimed to me that a woman went and she almost fell in, although one of our ladies did go on. Now Long Beach is closed, you should know. A few days ago, somebody from our shul went to Long Beach. No, Atlantic Beach was closed even a couple of days ago. Now they said that even Long Beach is closed.
No, I was in Rockaway Beach yesterday. It was open.
Well, Rockaway Beach is open. Okay. I was talking about Long Beach.
Right by Darkhay, Beach 17. You just walk right in.
Right. Oh, good. Adarabba. It was okay. I read you were able to toivel it.
I didn't toivel. I just took my kids there to get some air, but I spotted.
But you saw it.
I zoned in on the spot that I'll go to Martha.
Is it so simple getting something under the water in the ocean?
Yeah. How much space do you need?
It's not supposed to be in the waves, so you need to get past the point where you're in waves.
That's right. Exactly. Abel's on the mark here. You can't be. The Gemara says, "Chivin shabol of agal." The gal is a wave. So a wave, you're not allowed to be toivel in, a human being, and a wave is also not good for a kli. So you have to wait till the water is it's not stagnant, but is not wavy. That's
it was calm yesterday. It was calm, and there's just like a pool, like a sort of an area where it just looks like a pool.
So then you can toivel it. I mean,
you walk in up to your knees and you just drop it in.
By the way, there is a story that's going around. I checked it out when one of the Rabbanim, he said it's a woman in a shul that toiveled a few days ago in the Atlantic, and it was freezing. And we tried to spread the word that nobody should do it. Somebody's doing it because they're afraid they're going to get sick in one of our mikvahs, and then they get sick in the ocean. So that's not probably the smartest thing to do either.
What is the optimal way to toivel a kli in the ocean?
It's exactly what we just said. It's to bring it where the water is calm, and then make the bracha and then dip it under till it's completely under. But I'll tell you what you can do. Maybe I don't know if this is what you're asking. You have to dip your hands in first, because then you don't have to let it go. In a regular mikveh, most people either have a basket or they let it go. What's the big deal? It'll float away. You'll go get it. But in the ocean, you don't want it to float away. I had such a mice once myself, by the way. I was once toivel in a lake. I lost the kli. But anyway, my rabbit was not so happy with me. But the over here in the ocean, so once you get your hand wet, so you can hold it even tight. So l'chatchila, some people say you should hold it loose.
Can you let go for a split second and catch it? That's what I always do.
Yeah, for sure. That's even better.
Knife,
but the truth is, if your hand is wet with ocean water, you don't even have to let it go. Interesting halacha, right? Okay.
Yeah.
But in terms of the waves in the water, I mean, is the surface is always not really kosher for toivel. You need to get beneath the surface far enough that you're not at a wavy point. That's what I was wondering.
No, I'm not sure if the water. See, the problem with a wave is that the wave is up above the water. So if you have quiet water, like between waves, it's not a problem.
Okay.
I
You
mean,
go,
I
you see where
at
you're
one point
getting
I was
wet till, then you know it's
I was
calm.
encouraging this a couple of days ago, and a lot of women and men told me that they're afraid to go to the mikveh. By the way, all of our mitzvahs are sanitized over and over and over, and they use chlorine over and over and over. So the doctors told us, I'm going to be on in a few minutes, I'm going to be on with the doctors again, I'll ask them again, that chlorine completely kills the coronavirus in the water. Maybe they can learn something from that for how to stop the coronavirus, but I'm no doctor. But they said that there is an absolute certainty that in the water itself there's no problem. The problem is on the surfaces around it. So, for instance, the one by Coal Save, you can go right to the water, you don't have to touch anything else, and then you'll still wash your hands with soap and water when you come out. It's not a bad thing. All right, and then the worst case scenario, you'll sell it. It's coming out by me also from one of my new things about selling, selling the kalim to a guy. Well, you'll see about it. It's not the worst thing in the world. I personally advocated it a couple of days ago, and then most of my chaverim, rabbanim weren't thrilled with me, so I said, okay, fine, I'm not going to push it anymore. But it's mutter. I can't take it away from the Shulchan Aruch. The Shulchan Aruch says it's mutter. And it's not only mutter, it's the Munkatcher Rebbe, the old Munkatcher Rebbe, the Shari Chiva that says that it's mutter. So I'm not going to go against him. But, it's when there's a mikveh, Kehillah mikveh available, or there's anything available that's even an ocean or a lake, then that's a preference. Of course it is. Okay, Rabbi, say, all right, a good Tanakh.
All right.